What's going on?
This last item, I know that we've had some discussion already, and the reason why I'm standing up is I'm a good draw. A couple of things on the board. I'm not the best artist in the world, but there's been an item of contention across the city, some of the council members, staff. But there's two items that we're going to be talking about. One is communal dining, and the other one is outdoor dining in general. And let's talk about communal dining. And I know we've had some thoughts. One, of course, is across the street here, which is at the park. Okay. The other one is next to Bella Luna's. That was the second spot. The third spot that and so we've got Main Street, goes across here. We've got Maple Street. We've got away from there. So this is Main Street here. This is where the Dane Gap's place was right here. Okay. And there's even a space right outside the door here that we've talked about. Dane Tap here. I talked to him about a month ago. A little better than a month ago. He was open to selling that place. And I was thinking about it could either be used, if we would purchase it, it could either be used for outdoor dining like that, communal dining, or we can use it for parking, which is what we've had, it's badly needed. And I think he wants around, it was around $300,000 for the lot, I think. And if we would purchase it, we would pay more than market value. I'm not sure if that's something that council would want to entertain. And the purpose, because we're trying to create more outdoor visibility where people can.
I'm sorry, I missed it in the beginning. Where is this that you're talking about?
This is one that's up here, behind here. This is where the courthouse is.
Right across from
Right.
Dixon Wall.
Yeah.
Next door to her car.
Okay.
They doing hell damage.
This is Dixon Wall
Oh,
here.
right. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Gas station.
So this, that little corner lot, and I don't know, I thought about it one day and I talked to Steve and he said, well, let's discuss it at this point in time. So I'm not sure what you guys think, if you think that it's a good idea to maybe approach at some point. What are your thoughts?
How many cars can you actually park in this lot there if it is sellable, the city does purchase it? I mean, it doesn't.
That would be something that,
Are you saying the demolition of the building?
yes,
Yeah.
Well, then also it's, what's that?
Super cute.
Yeah, I wouldn't get crazy to demolish that building.
well, that's why I say, could it be used for outdoor dining or
I've always wanted to have a hamburger store.
could we lease, could we lease the building out?
What about phase 1, 2 environmental studies? I know there's always that one as a gas station.
I don't know if he's cleaned that up or not. And of course, as far as the environmental, he can always get the state to do a phase 1 environmental study on that to see if anything's been done. As a matter of fact, we do have a report. I sent that to Steve a while back of all the places in town that had gas stations and any place that they've taken tanks out of.
I have another question that's somewhat related. How many cities intentionally increase their property holding by going out and buying property holding? Is that properties? Is that pretty common? Not so common?
Most cities, if they're acquiring a piece of property, it's for an intended use. So it's not uncommon for a city to do property acquisition if there's a public benefit to doing so.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, you gave me free rein this morning to speak my mind.
She's been exercising.
What have we done?
So, just, to me, if we don't have a mission and focus and a path to go buy property without a really good plan for that property and how it fits into the overall umbrella of where we want to go.
I think if we do a
We're
strategic plan.
Wait, it's chocolate. Yeah. It becomes just a hodgepodge. I think it might be kind of odd to have outdoor parking suddenly down there when really there's not, other than bricks, where are you going to get your food to go eat there? And then if you create it and there's no, people are using it, it's going to become a hangout for the homeless or whatever it becomes. So this is just me talking, you know. I just think before we start doing that, we really need to have this plan. I think we really need to have this path. And then every time we think about doing something, think about buying something, it's like, oh no, does that fit within our plan? How does that work? Because without that, I just see us doing this constantly, and I think that's what we're doing now. And I think we really need that, like Aaron spoke about earlier. Sorry, I should call you councilman. Alderman, whatever. I'll just call you. But she said, you know, we all need to have that common brand, and we need to be going down that path. And I really feel strongly that that's the kind of meetings we should be having, and before we start.
Well, and I just bring it up for
Yeah, I know.
talking purposes, and I think we develop a strategic plan down the road. If you hire somebody to come in, whether that property is going to be available then or not, we don't know. But I think it's just something to put in the back of our mind. Is there a possible use for it? You know, it's not that we're just going to go out and buy it, but is there a real good use for it? If we do, it does come to
I think as a parking location is not a great one, there's not a lot of space on that lot. And I think as an outdoor dining, I'm not really sure how that would work either, because there's not a lot of outdoor restaurants that are right on that corner. There's the coffee and tea bar that's on the corner across the street. There's the cafe Jamboree, but they already have outside dining. And I don't picture people walking all the way down there from a restaurant using that.
Well,
But I agree with
And,
Tom.
you know, even, I'll be honest with you, communal dining to me is a big question mark in there. For me to take my food, if I was to buy here to go across the street, yeah, it's kind of inconvenient. So, but I just bring this up for talking purposes, to see what you guys think about it. Is it good to expand our community dining or not?
Yeah, I think it is, but the locations have to be right for it to work. Like all the restaurants and businesses have to benefit from the location.
That's right.
Where communal dining is.
You know, to be honest with you, I think the only place right now that has the benefits of communal dining would be Ballawin's.
Right.
You know, the LEA,
We can say that.
because it's right next to you.
And I think we've heard from the number of restaurants recently, by we, I mean Audra, that they don't have the staff, like, you know, they're busy enough in their own premises. It would be hard for them to send people out, you know, to refill water or, you know, whatever the liquor code allows for, you know, alcohol delivery. I think that we really have lost interest the restaurateurs have in that notion, aside from Bellolina and LEA, right? They really want to do that. And that, of course, is not communal dining. That's whether or not you decide to lease all or part of that space to Bellolina, right?
Ortiz Retreat people.
Is that,
Yeah, right, true.
Yeah,
is
true.
that still slated to be upgraded, Allier? I mean,
Yes.
Okay.
We're actually getting ready to go out to bid on it.
Oh, good.
So we're working with Dana Crawford's group on that. They're doing a back staircase as part of their building. And so they're finishing their design for that, and we're going to bid it out together, 2 separate contracts, but same contractor. So hopefully that'll get bid out here in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So where does LEA stop? Because I know the Cimino family owns the parking lot behind the Champions building. So where does LEA start and the Cimino property start?
I believe it's just adjacent to the building, just the alley that goes by the buildings,
Okay,
between those 2 buildings.
What's the
I think that would be ideal. You see some of those umbrella tables out. It's very enticing for people to find even some place for a drink and an ice cream cone and sit down and watch the world go by. I'm not real hecked up on cat property either. I mean, it's a thought, but like female parents said, that would be a cool place to have like and maybe male parent too. But to have a barbecue place, I've seen places where they renovate an old service station, do restaurants in there, and I want to try to avoid using public money for something like this. I'm really, skeptical. I'm worried because with the current economic atmosphere as it is, I think we're going to have to start being a little bit more conservative.
I think that's true.
Number two, I hate to take private property, revenue generating property, and turn it into public without.
What's the situation on the Opera House? So,
I can give an update on that.
because it has parking in the back, even if the building is not, whatever, but it's just parking itself is probably more valuable than the building
So
is.
did you guys want to talk a little bit about parking as well? Because I've got some additional things here too.
I think we should finish what we're talking about.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, so like I said, this one here, like I said, for now, let's say it's pretty much a mix, but it's just food for thought.
Yes.
So you guys can sleep on it tonight. At 2 o'clock. Let's get down to the nitty gritty of outdoor dining, and I know there's some controversy, council, staff, questions about whether or not liability situation. I don't know if you remember a while back when we had this conversation, I called 5 different communities about their outdoor dining and how it benefited them or didn't benefit them. And one of the places had only like 1 or 2 spaces. It's very small. Talked in Alamosa, talked to places in Denver, talked to Durango, forget who the other place was. And all of them feel like it was a benefit to them. I even talked to Pueblo. And of course, Pueblo's a different animal by itself. They're a much larger community. But everybody felt like it was a benefit to them because they felt like they held the tourism people coming in a little bit longer. They stuck around longer into the communities. So as far as liability issues, the only one that thought there was a liability issue, but they went forward with anyway, was Durango. But they thought that they raised kind of the same question that have been raised up here. But they've not had any problems. And I think it just depends on how we do it. Is if you take a look at this, let me make this a little bit larger here.
Here's an eraser. Don't get caught red-handed.
So, I mean, let's say you guys have got a street level here.
You three settled down.
Yeah.
Have a sugar.
Late in the
This would be the sidewalk here, okay? And of course, the buildings would be over here. This is all the street over in here. So, the big thing is talking about, I think the parking spots are what, 8 foot wide?
Yeah, I think
8
so,
foot?
yeah.
Okay, so we got an 8 foot parking area right in front. So the biggest thing is, how much space can we take up? Let me make this a bit larger here. How much space can we take up off of this parking area so that, so I'm not a very good artist here. So if this is 8 foot wide, in order for you to have, from what I see, you would have to have this sidewalk to be at least 5 foot wide. So that what you would do is you would take, if it's not at least 5 foot wide, you could take and add, let's take 5 feet or even about 6 feet of this area for an outdoor dining area. What it would do is it would leave a couple of feet here to the street side so that there's not so much liability with cars coming in because it's already designated parking. And then what it would do is you would have to designate some of the sidewalk in here about 3 feet of it, or no, 2 feet. Okay? Let's say you took it 2 feet and still leave 3 feet for ADA accessibility. So you would need this sidewalk to be at least 5 foot wide in order to accommodate any kind of outdoor dining. And there are some places that the sidewalks are that wide. There are some places that are not. So I think that could create a problem. I know with a couple of places that have. The other thing is anything that's too close to a corner, anything within a certain amount of the corner, you couldn't have it.
Why not? I mean, is it just perceived liability?
Because that perceived liability, as a matter of fact, that was one of the things that these places that I talked to, I think 3 out of the 5 brought it up. They said parking within a certain amount of a corner, couldn't do it. Couldn't have this issue.
Are we still having issues with outdoor dining? Is anybody raised any?
I think what we need to do is kind of get a consensus from council. If this is the direction that we should go to, and I think just developing the proper policies in place so that it will work. Go ahead, Deb. Go ahead.
I think anything we can do to increase outdoor dining, we should do. My wife and I don't travel often. We were planning a trip, and that's one of the first things we looked for was after we determined what we were going to do, where we were going, we looked at the dining, and that's definitely something that we'll always really enjoy. And I do think it gives people an added reason to stay. I mean, I think it would add a lot of great ambiance to downtown to have the option of outdoor dining. Now, right now, it's pretty limited in Trinidad. I think it would be a huge support to our restaurants.
I really believe that this 2-foot buffer, I think, is needed to kind of keep it away from the actual street and going into the street. Use that as a buffer.
I mean, if a person is that bad at a driveway, and they're coming 2 feet up onto the 2 feet you can save us in.
Right. At least the buffer's there.
But yeah, something. And I know we talked about making it removable, but there's plenty of days in the Colorado year, even during the winter, when people could outdoor dine. This is my thought. If you're going to sacrifice the space outdoor dining, I would say make it permanent. And the only reason cars can't park or have to move there is for plowing, and the reason you plow that space is so that the car can park there. But if the car isn't parked, then just plow past it like it's regular curb, clean and go. Anything we can do to promote it, I think would be a good idea. Oh, and the reason I say make it year round is you can make it more so you don't have to worry about that difference in height and causing put up there permanently. That'd be my thought. But anything we can do to help outdoor dining, I think we should.
Other thoughts?
Some building parameters are not going to be conducive to the outdoor dining, but I'm for outdoor dining, but not at the expense of compromising the legality part of it. But yeah, I think I concur with Aaron.
I don't care what we do. We're in a legal situation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
We may as well make some money.
Can it be seasonal?
Well, that's the one thing that Durango and I forget who else, they do it, and what they do is they make them removable, like
Right.
I say.
You do it.
They put them up in April through October and have them removed so that they can snow plow during the wintertime.
Because it seems like you're talking about one particular business that needs outdoor dining. Because if you start with that one business, then everybody's going to be like,
That's right.
where's my patio? When can I put mine out?
So that's where putting the proper policies in place as to what it requires.
Well, and also you have to put the money in place, because the city
city's gonna have to put the bill to build those. And make them ADA compliant.
Right.
Consistent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just part of it.
You know, we're talking about, it's all we talk about is parking. We just talked about
Exactly.
30 parking. So here we are, probably gonna take away a bunch of parking spaces.
Also, how many places would you estimate that would take advantage of this?
Well, you don't know.
Every restaurant on Main Street.
We know,
I don't
we
think
know
so.
several who want to.
Because they had the opportunity in the past and they didn't.
Yeah, Moose's wants to, let's say the Smokehouse says, Liz certainly does on Commercial Street. I mean, she's all over that. There are a number of places, I would say probably at least 5.
Right,
Well, that's relevant too.
Right,
right.
Jay,
right.
down there.
Yeah,
Jay, definitely.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's say there's 8 that would take advantage of it. That's only 8 parking
There's a whole lot of
Yeah, okay.
places out there, 8 is a lot.
Right.
When you
And you
think
know,
about it.
could I say, if I could please, my paralegal recently had knee replacement surgery, and on several days recently, now that she's coming back to work, she literally has to drive around and around and around for like half an hour because she cannot find a place to park near the bell block that's even close, that is walking distance for her to be able to park, get out of her car, and walk in. And I didn't think parking was really a problem until recently, and she experienced that. She literally cannot find a parking place. And Mayor, if I could please, while I have the floor, the liability is not just for people running into this. And the ADA issues are not simply for having a sufficient walkway or clearance on the sidewalk. The legal liability is, and the problem is, by the way, please harken back to my remarks earlier where I said in my report for my office that we have no litigation. The closest we've come to having litigation recently is over one of these patios, where we were trying to enforce the ADA on a patio because we had somebody who was doing business on our property, and we couldn't get them to comply with the ADA despite repeatedly asking them to do so. And so eventually, in order to avoid getting sued, we had to completely remove their patio, and we almost got sued. And we also have people who are always, if they're allowed to do anything and spend money of their own in furtherance of outdoor dining, then we're on the hook for that. That's a bit of a digression, but any improvements they make, we can automatically get sued for it, and that's like a baseline for what we get sued over. But my point on those patios is people think it becomes an extension of their premises. They think they can do on the patio what they can do in their premises, and that's just not the case. They literally are serving food, serving alcohol, dealing with customers on city property, and when we go to enforce things like the ADA, we're the bad guy. And that's the liability. So take away everything else, the cost of the patios, the liability if anyone ever does actually run into one, all those things, all the problems, all the inconvenience, I mean, that's the tip of the iceberg. And I should have said a disclaimer at the beginning of this, I love outdoor dining. I love outdoor dining, not outdoor dining in any way, shape, or form. But it is a nightmare and a headache right in Trinidad, exactly. And every community is different. You know, every community is different. I'm sorry, I'm taking too much.
What would be, I'd like the the outdoor dining is good, but I would really prefer us to really work on communal dining. Some areas where we don't have the patios up. Just go outside the street here, check our sidewalks with the ice and that. And it's hard to clean it. I mean, we just don't have the city crews to do it. And you're going to build up ice, you got stuff. And then, again, like I say, you're taking away the parking. And I agree with Aaron that, outdoor dining, like you say, it'd be nice, but I think we should find areas where we could really make it worthwhile for community dining. We got this open space here that we could put some nice tables out with umbrellas that people can sit in front. And we got Miners Park over there that they do use it. There's people out there doing it when they have their fairs and that. And then, of course, Bella Luna's area over there. The only place we wouldn't have any is going east. But again, we may be able to work something out on the sidewalks like they have there you have the cafes, and you have the little outdoor dining.
So it's-
So, you know, and then commercially, that's definitely the question. You can't put anything on that.
Well, and I want to go back to, just real quick, you know, Audra had a comment when we talked about this last time, just making sure we're being equitable. Because there may be restaurants that we wouldn't be even able to allow them the opportunity because what if there's a fire hydrant? Things like that. And then I also want us to also keep in mind, right now maybe we have 8 restaurants, but if we boom in 5-10 years and we end up with 20 restaurants downtown, are we taking up even more parking? So I think we all agree that outdoor dining is important. And I'm glad, Councilmember Frank, that you, sorry, it's been a long day, that you brought up this space out here, because I think we have a golden opportunity to provide some communal outdoor dining in that area as well. So those are my thoughts, but I did want to go back to what Audra said originally. I do have a concern about equitability when we talk about, you know, are we going to have businesses that we're going to have to say no to and not provide them the same opportunity as everybody else?
Well, one of the other things that I learned talking to, I forget which communities, is they actually limit the number of outdoor dining areas per block area, or a 2-block area. You know, regardless of how many businesses there are. You just got to put those into the policy. That was one thing that I learned as well.
But wonder if somebody, I'm just asking, wonder if somebody would fight you in court about that. In other words, if Smokehouse wants one, could they actually take this to court if Moose has got one?
It's a good question.
I mean, just for curiosity.
Or is it that the patios themselves are used? Say the person at Moose's was like, okay, I can use the patio down at Smokehouse. Are they communal as well, or do they just belong to the business in front of them? Like, could the pizza guy be like, all right, I can use the patio and sit, sit somewhere else?
Go ahead.
My goal, my overall goal with all this kind of stuff is that I want to see people out and about downtown. And if communal dining accomplishes that, then that's good with me. It seems simpler. But there also are probably ADA injury kind of chances with providing communal dining too. So I don't think we completely escape the potential for liability. Anytime we provide a service, if we don't do it responsibly, then we can potentially be sued. So, but the thing that I like about it, just go back to my original point, is that it gets people out. So when you drive down the street, the city looks alive. It's not just people behind closed doors.
And that's the whole purpose behind outdoor dining, is that it makes your community look like it's alive, that it's thriving. And, you know, what makes a community more attractive if there's more people there? I think that's the whole idea.
So Mayor, from the tourism perspective, I get visitors into the Welcome Center on 2 points. One, I get complaints that there's not enough parking downtown. Okay? 2, people love to come in and they love to go to places where they can take their pets, which outdoor dining would accomplish that. So there's 2 visitors that.
You talk about the parking, and that's something we talked about, trying to create additional parking. And if you want to talk about that afterwards, we can talk about that. But I just feel like it's not a bad deal to approach it in a good way with some good policies to try to mitigate any liabilities that could occur.
Well, I think the businesses that have the physical space to provide outdoor dining on their own time, I think they're taking advantage of that already. Even as little as Sita's only has maybe 6 seats outside, and she keeps those seats out there all year long. So I think the rule of thumb is don't try to create it if it's not feasible.
Right.
You know, if it's feasible, let them do it on their own. Let them be responsible and liable for their actions and not the city.
Maybe a good example is if you go down the street for maybe at a restaurant where they said the little flags out, is that,
Oh,
I mean, that sidewalk is about 8 or 10 feet wide.
Uh-huh.
You know, there's ample space for them to have, for outdoor dining. And that's great. So there's areas like that
That
all
old,
the time. They're
that
big
old
parts.
storefront could be used for outdoor dining. Even people that sitting down and watching traffic, you know.
And then that's up to us as to where we can, as a policies to designate this area is big enough to do outdoor dining in the sidewalk area. This area is only designated, can only be designated to what we're talking about here or however we decide.
They have to be a permit, right, Audrey? And they have to provide a liability, yeah.
And that was the thing is that they do require, all the cities do require that additional liability insurance.
Stalemate.
Do any of the cities like charge for the space?
Yes, some of them rent out the space. There was two of the communities did rent out the space.
Then that'd be part of my answer to taking that, like downtown parking, if there was some way to justify that offsets our cost of renting out another parking lot somewhere or something like that.
I think Durango was one of them, I think.
Well, I guess the question is, how do we want to move forward? We've talked about this several times. It doesn't look like we're coming to any kind of
Well, I think the thing is that, my consensus is that we move forward with it. It's consensus, sounded like we've got a couple of other people there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us that consensus to move forward with, coming up with something that could work.
I say,
What's an actual consensus, like, if we have a statement of like, should we move forward with a policy on outdoor dining? Like, what's the consensus?
we should give our last final word on this subject. Just saying.
I'm down for outdoor dining and communal dining if we could do a mashup, and if not, one or the other, but it's about schematics and liability, I guess.
I'm for it. If it helps economic and the tourism and everything else, people see, like Councilman Ogletree said, people want to see people doing something outside. And if the city looks alive, they're going to be there being a part of it, hopefully. So, but like, the parameter thing again, with certain establishments, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work.
I'd like to say I'm for the communal. I would not be at all for the patios on the streets. I think it's just too much issue for us. We're going to get in trouble by doing
I think that, like the idea of charging for the space and leasing the space, I think that if we have strict policies that make sense, it could work. And I think Les hasn't had enough to do.
I think we should look to increase the communal dining option, and I agree with Councilwoman Ogletree said that the leasing of it, it's very well thought out parameters. I'm not challenging Les's assessment. I do think, from my understanding, a lot of the issues, ADA issues that were arising from the last one, were maybe due to a design problem with that parking, like very restricted in the program. So you could overcome that, some of that with design and implementation. So I'd be for those two.
And I am not for outdoor dining. I think, well, I take that back. Where it's feasible, I'm for it. If the property is designed to be able to have outdoor dining, if they're in the parameters of the ADA and the specifications that are required by the city, I say, yeah, let's do it. As far as communal dining, I don't know if we should really call it communal dining. Just the open spaces right across the street.
Yeah.
Just make that space as desirable as we can by putting maybe a couple of tables during the summertime with umbrellas on there. That space is available to you. You can't drink there, but if you want to sit with your dog and your kids and have a sandwich from the smokehouse, you can do that. But I think we're opening up a can of worms that shouldn't be opened up with this patio, the outdoor dining, because for all the amenities that Trinidad has, one of our shortfalls is the space downtown is very limited, and the parking is horrendous, and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Well, that's why we addressed the parking a while back, and I think there's some remedies there that we just have to make sure enforcement takes care of that issue. You know, I'm in agreement that we move forward with this where it's feasible, like you're saying, where it's feasible, and having policies in place to mitigate or limit the amount of liability situation that could come. I think that's what we do.
Like with the Alabama thing, I don't know if I think the only reason that we didn't go forward with that is because we were getting ready to renovate that space. So maybe we need to revisit that specific space after the renovation.
And if I remember right, they weren't willing to make it a non-permanent structure. Like we said that we'd be willing to talk with them if they made it a structure that could be removed, and they weren't willing to not give it a permanent structure.
Well, I think what we do is we change it from communal dining to open space dining.
To open spaces,
That's way better.
it's called public space.
Public dining,
You could do
No,
anything
that's-
that's legal in that space, you go ahead and do it. Sex, drugs, and alcohol, dining, yes.
Sure.
Something that occurs to me though, mostly because of what John has been saying about creating additional work for staff. If we have these spaces, guess who cleans them up?
We do.
If they're not attached to a restaurant, and that restaurant has responsibility for maintaining it, guess who gets to pick up the garbage and clean up the tables? The city.
And that's what we're putting policies in place that they have to be maintained by the, or else.
Right.
No,
I'm just saying-
she's saying if it's a communal,
Yeah,
Okay.
open space.
whereas if it's attached to a restaurant, they're responsible for it.
Not
You're
necessarily.
right, Bob.
If the policy is there,
So if I could, you know, I think I understand the open space dining and looking into that, but is council wanting, like staff, Steve, to look into finding money to potentially fund 8 parklets?
no, initially, we would be looking at developing the policy that would, right?
So we're looking at robust rules, ordinances, like these other communities have surrounding how they do this. And you want to
That's step one.
And actually, I don't think I forwarded it on to you, I think it was presented to you, but
Sure.
two of the places that have dining send me their policies, and I do have that available. I can send it to you.
Okay.
And we could see about strategic plan.
Thank you for supporting.
So if you really look at it, what it does is it begins to create kind of the overarching strategic plan of what we are community we would like to have. How we become more attractive to not only the tourists, but also the local people. Because to be honest with you, there are some of the locals that really did enjoy the outdoor dining. So, you know, I think we're beginning to fill a space for everybody.
We call it camping.
Glamping?
Camping.
Oh, camping.
Yeah, all locals call it camping.
Okay, so like that's where we're going to go with this. Work on the policies.
Yeah.
Beginning to work on it. Anything else you guys want to discuss today? I think, you know, we've already discussed the parking the other day in the work session. I don't think we need to go over that. What do you think?
No, Mayor, it's not really anything we've advertised on the agenda anyway, so we should probably steer clear from that.
Anyway, I just want to say, let's go around the room with who's left here. What did you think about today's plan?
Who's left
agenda?
Yeah.
What
Last
I
man
think
standing.
it was, I actually thought it was a good conversation. It was nice for our department heads to catch up with city council on
Right.
less formal platform. I think administration definitely got some clear direction. We know we're going forward with an RFP for strategic planning.
Yep.
And I think that's
I was hoping we made it.
I beat you to it. Strategic planning. And I don't know, I think there was a lot of good conversation all day. It was very nice to have a less formal setting to have it. A lot more productive in this important.
Yes, it is.
All your comments have been
No,
good.
I echo Audra's sentiments. I think this is a very nice gathering.
Yeah, I think it was a great opportunity to bring everyone together. There's department head meetings and city council meetings, but it was good to see everybody being able to talk about what they're working on and what they'd like to see happen.
Does everybody know the role in this meeting?
Yes.
We can use your.
Yeah. I just saw that.
He's not.
It's a lot of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
I just like that it was an opportunity for staff members, department heads to approach city council, and it reconnects the staff with council, and I like that.
No, thank you all for your feedback. I think we tried to craft an agenda that had some major issues we've been dealing with, and certainly some things we're looking at coming up soon, ballot question wise. And I think we got some good direction from you all, and now we as staff will put some pedal to the metal and start working on some of these things.
Nick, I appreciate everybody coming out and at least do this twice a year just to keep things nice and tight. And meeting with the other panels, the police officers and different board members keeps everything nice and cohesive.
The atmosphere was great, collaborative, informative, candid. We networked well with everyone, department heads. I think we had a lot of good information brought to the table, and hopefully you can move forward with a lot of this and not just table some of the things that we mentioned.
Great.
I'm looking forward to the adjournment.
At 8 o'clock this morning, you were okay.
I agree with Marty, said it was a good time for city council to be face-to-face with the department heads and hear from them. Also a really good picture that staff is working really well together and with Steve, and that is just incredibly encouraging to me. Because you're so new and everybody's working together, it seems like there's a great deal of respect and for everyone all around, and I'm really happy to see that.
I would mirror what Aaron said as usual. I always get comments after, so.
You're always last.
Yeah, we'll switch.
Yeah.
I really did appreciate the picture of how cohesive city staff is. And to Karen's point earlier, we are fortunate as a city to have so many people working so hard and invested wearing multiple hats. And I know, Steve, you weren't here for the first part, but so many of the staff had given an indication of how well things are running. So we really do appreciate the effort you put in, and I would say look forward to the future. And so Les doesn't feel left out. I'm glad I'm not Steve.
Thank you.
And adjournment.
Hey, but you know what, it was very relaxing today, it was very informative. I don't know why I attend some of the council meetings, because you just don't know what's gonna come at you that night, you know, and I know staff probably feels that way too. And this was just, we never get the chance to engage one another with this much time involved in it. It was wonderful. I really appreciate all your efforts. When are you leaving, Molly?
I don't know.
So you haven't given us your treatment?
No,
Okay, cool.
I have informed Steve that I am applying for other positions and that I will stay here either until I have to leave or until y'all hire somebody else that I can prepare.
You should take a good look at the handbook, because I think it's pretty specific on the amount of notice you have to give.
2 years.
Sure, it's 90 days, minimum 90 days.
Remember if Steve's ears were burning on his way down 925 today, were they?
A little bit.
Were they? No, but, you know, it seems like we've got I think somebody else mentioned that I can see the connection between you and staff after just a couple of months. So if we're doing this well after you just being here in a short time, I think we've only got good things coming our way. I want to wish you a belated happy birthday.
Well,
Right.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Should we sing belatedly?
Happy belated birthday.
Belated Frank's adjournment.
Thank you to staff. I couldn't do it without them.
Steve, I know, like I said, just, you and I work so close together constantly. You pick up really, really fast on what this community is doing. Thank you, and I'm sure staff can probably see that from around the staff as well. I'm sure they appreciate that, and we as council appreciate that. And
Yes.
all we hate to see late, so give us your 2-year notice.
Why so short?
Today, I think, is an opportunity for us to really look at how we all operate together, to be able to meet face to face with the staff. And like I mentioned earlier this morning, I wanted some frank discussion, which we did get some frank discussion. That's okay. Because we need to know what we're faced with. And, differences of opinion, nothing wrong with it. But that's just the way, sometimes when there are two differences of opinion, something better can come out of it. That's the differences of opinion that may come out today. I'm looking forward to maybe something better to come out of those differences. So I want to say thank you. I know it took you away from the day, and, a lot of work. Great to have no shopping. And the council, having all other things to do possibly. I want to say thank you for the time today. I think it's very, very important to do, whether it's either once a year or twice a year.
Frank said he wanted to do this monthly.
But I'll say thank you again for coming and
Thank you.
Thank you.